إنما المؤمنون إخوة فأصلحوا بين أخويكم واتقوا الله لعلكم ترحمون.
كمال الإيمان. عن أبي حمزة أنس بن مالك رضي الله عنه خادم رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه.
بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. أما بعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. To begin, when Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu became the Khalifa, and you had amongst the Arabs those who had apostated and those who chose not to pay zakah, one of the key Muslim generals was Khalid ibn al-Walid radiallahu anhu. Khalid ibn al-Walid, after the war on the apostates, he then went on to conquer Iraq. And if you know the swiftness of Khalid radiallahu anhu, within 4 months, he had conquered Iraq. He had basically gone through the entire country. And those 4 months of conquering city after city after city, and then Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu sent him to Ash-Sham for the battle of Yarmouk. After all those battles, and I just said it quickly, he then received a letter from the new Khalifa, Umar radiallahu anh, that he was no longer to be the leader. And now I thought about this very, very easily in any Muslim community. Someone who has done so much for the community, what if someone was to tell them, you're not the leader anymore, you need to step down, and this organization is going in it with a different leadership? You already know what would happen. That leader would say, who do you think you are, taking this away from me? I built this with my own hands. But if you see Khalid radiallahu anhu's statement, when he was asked about, this, when he was asked to go down from leadership and to become a regular soldier, Khalid radiallahu anhu said a statement to the point of that had I done it for other than Allah, then yes, I may have been angry. But I didn't do it for anyone except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you read his statement about how Umar radiallahu anhu took him down from leadership, your heart can only fill with love for Khalid radiallahu anhu. Can only fill. And another example of this was Umar radiallahu anhu when he was going to Ash-Sham, and Abu Ubaidah. You might know this story when Umar radiallahu anhu heard about a plague in the Ash-Sham area, and he decided to go back to Medina. And Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah radiallahu anhu, one of the great companions and the Muslim leaders, he said to Umar radiallahu anhu, he said, أَفَرَارٌ مِّن قَدَرِ اللَّهِ يَا عُمَرْ. I don't think you understand how tough those words are. He said, are you running away from the destiny of Allah, O Umar? He's the Khalifa. And this is Abu Ubaidah talking to him. Now, normally, and I thought about this, when people argue, like if someone was to stand up and just argue with the speaker, you would think that there's so much anger between these two people. But the companions, when they argued very passionately. But after the argument, they were brothers. They did not say, well, because of this argumentation, they continued. And I'll give you this example. After that incident, Umar radiallahu anh, in fact, did leave, and Abu Ubaidah was the Emir of Ash-Sham during the Khilaf of Umar radiallahu anhu, and he stayed there because he was responsible for those people. Umar radiallahu anhu, after that argument, he was sending him letters, hoping that he would take the Muslims and go to a higher ground up in the hills. And Abu Ubaidah wasn't leaving. And Umar radiallahu anhu was pleading with him because he knows he's going to die from that plague. And Abu Ubaidah did die, radiallahu anhu. In that plague of Umwas, he died, radiallahu anhu. And Umar radiallahu anhu cried. And this is after the argument that happened regarding that, should they go back or not. There's on our message board, our student message board, forums.almaghrib.org, I started this thread called Anger versus Anger. That what you might see the companions and think they were angry, and then we might get into an argumentation and think we're angry, but there is a world of difference between the two. And I thought about that. I'm still been asking Shaykh, what is the difference between how they differed? And they differed very passionately, but it had nothing to do with it had nothing to do with breaking their brotherhood after that. Why is it that when we argue, it destroys our brotherhood? Everybody's afraid as soon as there's a tiny argument, we're all going to collapse, and all of the structure is like a big fake structure that as soon as an argument starts, this group will break off, and this group will go here, and this group will attack the other group, that it's almost like fake, and you're almost feeling it too. Do you feel it? That could possibly happen? I think it's very easily. It's just waiting to happen. An issue like moon sighting or something, and we're already divided down the row. And inshallah ta'ala, today we're going to address some of these things. Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, and this is in sharp contrast to a lot of what happens in masajid and so on and so forth. He was of the opinion, he was actually of the four imams, he was of the opinion that camel meat breaks one's wudu. And the others didn't have this opinion. Meaning if you ate camel meat, how many people have eaten camel meat before? Okay. According to the majority, your wudu was broken when you did that. Okay. Unless you're Hanbali and your wudu doesn't break. He had this opinion that camel meat breaks one's wudu. And so they asked him, this is the question of the students. They said, what would you do if some guy ate camel meat in front of you? You saw him eat the camel meat. And then he got up and you saw him, he didn't make wudu. He got up and he led the prayer. Would you pray behind him or not? And Imam Ahmad knew what they were asking. And you know the intentions behind it. He said, أَفَلَا أُصَلِّي وَرَاءَ مَالِكَ. He said, would I not pray behind Imam Malik wa Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib? He said, would I not pray behind these people? And that's, subhanAllah, it's a different level of fiqh. Fiqh meaning understanding. That even though there's a difference of opinion, it still doesn't connect to the brotherhood. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created humans with many differences. On the outside, you have a difference. We have differences in color, differences in languages, difference in accents. Some of you from London, some of you from Bradford, Manchester, all these things, right? Different accents. But all of that's on the outside. On the inside, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us with different intellects, different comprehensions, different ways that we filter information. While we're sitting here in this room, people are filtering different things. I'll tell a story, someone accepts the story in their mind. I'll tell a point about Islamic school, someone who has children is accepting that. There are different ways that the information is coming in, different ways of filtering it, different ways of processing it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows this. And so with all these differences, it's only natural that a human being differs. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ خَلْقُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافُ أَلْسِنَتِكُمْ وَأَلْوَانِكُمْ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that this is from His ayat, from His signs. That He created the heavens and the earth, and He created the ikhtilaf, the difference of al-sinatikum, of your tongues and your colors. And that in these are signs for those who know. And so these are the differences externally and internally. These are the differences. So if we try thinking that we're going to have a Muslim ummah that never differs, that's impossible. And it's not true. And it's the, as one sheikh said, it's the dream of someone who ate a very big dinner and they had a really nice sleep. And when they woke up, they'll say, let's everybody unite. They don't know what they're talking about. Because human beings are not like that. Human beings will differ. They will differ. And so this has to be understood right from the beginning. The question is not, will we differ or will we not differ? The question is, how do we act with one another at the time of difference? And what are the references that we go back to?